Praise the Lord, everybody. Pastor Nick here with Reverend Tiff, the wife, and we're so glad that you've joined us again for another LinkedCouples ministry. Please do us a favor and share. Get somebody on this evening as we have this discussion to help those who are engaged as well as those who are married. Again, tag somebody, get somebody in the comments. We're so excited for what we're going to discuss tonight. And we're also excited because the next month or two, we'll be back to in-person. We're going to try to work a hybrid model out where we in-person and also stream it for those who are distant or unable to make it for the in-person discussions. So last time we talked about vulnerability and we ended on having difficult conversations. I just want to kind of go over some quick tools and steps on how to have difficult conversations with your spouse. Now, there are different ways we can approach this, and I'll approach it first this way, then I'll let you jump in and say what you got to say and bring up some other stuff too. Is first, the burden of understanding is not on the hearer, it's on the speaker. The older I get, the more I'm aware of it's not your job to understand me. It's my job to make myself clear enough so you get what I'm saying. I think we make sense to us all the time, and we assume that what we say makes sense to the other person. And this takes knowing who you're talking to know how to say it, what to say, when to say it, in a way that will bring clarity to the person. If you're only trying to vent and get some off your chest, you don't care about if the person gets it or not. But how can you have a successful conversation without clarity and, speaking in a way where it's my job to make myself clear, not for, you should know me by now, you just get it. Not at all. Now, you do a lot of couples counseling, couples therapy. So when you're broaching that conversation topic and you can tell both people are speaking two different languages and they're on two different frequencies, how do you merge them into the same frequency?
You helped me with this before, and I think that this actually helped me create an exercise for my couples, because I think that sometimes, like you said, we think we are communicating clearly, and sometimes I think the best way to get people to understand what their communication dynamic is by seeing it before they even start communicating it. Okay. So I usually start with like an exercise, a drawing exercise, and I just have one person speak and the other person listen, and they have to explain the picture so that the other person can draw it. And usually from the exercise, they recognize, I never said that. It's like, yes, you did. I wrote it down exactly how you said it, and then they realize, oh, you know what? I didn't clarify that, did I? No, you did not. And they're like, this is such a good exercise. All my couples say this is such a good exercise in helping us see that we don't clarify as much as we think. And then when you put the pictures in front, they realize that they look completely different. And so from that, we move from there to get them to understand how their communication looks. And I think it's important that people recognize, oh, wow, they have a mirror on themselves and see, you think you're good at clarifying and you're really not. Right. But there needs to be a bridge somewhere, I think, to help couples see where they have deficits in communication, because a lot of us don't really know. We think we are clear, like you said, but we don't really know unless it's put in front of us to see, oh, you know what? I definitely struggle as it relates to communicating clearly. I know what you want me to do. I know what I'm trying to communicate, but specifying that to the other person in a way that they can understand, it's nuanced. So for example, the drawing might have just a dot nose, and the person say, draw the nose like a banana. But people are nuanced. So when you say banana nose, they're going to draw it the way that they picture it. Right. So it's important that when you're having conversations that you think about what the other person needs for clarity and understand their history and vantage point too, because sometimes that's something that we're not always clarifying or understand. Right. I want a whole weird tangent.
No. Actually, that's actually good, because while you were talking, it made me think of people having conversations and you repeat back what the person said. Well, that's not what I said. No, that's exactly what you said. You said it just like this. Well, I didn't mean it like that. Well, it's not my job to figure out what you meant. It's your job to be clear. That's actually a pretty cool exercise, because you're right. People, we filter things through our life experiences, our own self-perception, where you feel like this person said it, what you think I'm stupid, and you're like, I didn't say you were stupid. Were you talking to me like I'm stupid? Like, no.
I repeated what you said.
Right. That's your interpretation of it.
Right.
And I think sometimes we have to get out of ourselves and say, okay, could be this. Maybe I don't trust my spouse enough to trust their motive when they say X, Y, and Z. Right? So I automatically assume they're saying something bad about me when it's like, no, I'm just trying to help you, trying to bring clarity. I'm not coming at you.
Yeah.
I'm just, trying to talk to you. But that clarity of how we interpret things, I think is really affects our ability to communicate, but also our own making sense to us. We do the same thing, which means that communication takes thought, consideration, and this is why when Bishop teaches on when somebody says something, you say like, so you said, so this is what you're saying. I can't remember how he said it exactly, but the person say something, you say, okay, so what you're saying is this, and you say exactly the way they said it. Yes, that's what I said. So you're saying, boom, yes, exactly what you're saying. So basically what you're saying is, Bob, I didn't mean that. No, I just asked you two times.
Reflecting.
But I didn't mean it like that. But again, it comes down to making sure we're clear, but also those that are hearing, making sure we're filtering things try our best through a clear filter rather than our own negative self-perception. Now, what we talked about last time was getting into the hard conversations, which can be challenging for a lot of spouses because we express feeling more than we express common sense when we're upset. Studies have shown us the angrier you are, the more you talk and the less you think. So we think we're just going off and not considering the weight of what's being said or how we're saying it. It's just vomiting everything out. To me, when you're angry, when you're upset, let's settle ourselves first. Because is the goal to argue and is the goal to win the argument or is the goal to fix the problem? And maybe we'll start there. Because I think we jump to the conversation without considering what's the motive of having this difficult conversation. Am I trying to win? Or are we trying to fix the problem? So go on and talk to us about, because I'm sure you've dealt with the conversation is a competition rather than something to help benefit the relationship.
Okay, so I think that for us, what gift we had as it relates to difficult conversations is time.
Well, we're strange too. So
right. Well, I was going to say time too, because we had a friendship in the beginning. Right. So we learned how to have difficult conversations based on building. I think we built toward that over time. And I feel like many couples, not all, but many, don't take the time that it takes in the beginning to build the trust that's necessary to have difficult, vulnerable conversations. Right. So once you're engaged or married or you're seriously dating, you want to have created this framework for safety up front, because it's really hard once you're getting to that, like we're crossing over to like engagement and marriage, and then start trying to work on a foundation for serious conversations, because that needs to have occurred from the very beginning. Is that the trust and the safety. So like I like to have healthy emotional independence and you like to have healthy emotional independence, but how do you build a bridge of safety so that we both feel that we can come toward each other and build connection, because there has to be some kind of collaboration to have serious conversations. And a lot of couples don't have that framework. Right. So then when we go and I need to regurgitate some pain to you, I worry that you're not going to receive it. Well, that's the last thing I need to be worried about when I'm coming toward you to have a vulnerable, serious conversation. That the trust and friendship and all that needs to be there up front. So when I'm talking to couples, we got to build a framework for safety up front before we even start having more serious, intimate conversations. How do you do that? I'm not talking to you if I don't even trust you and I don't feel safe with you. If I fear you because I don't know if you'll weaponize my vulnerability, why am I talking to you? Then you have this resentment. You have issues with rejection, sensitivities that come up. Anybody talking when if that's the framework, why would I even start a conversation with that? So starting from safety, I think, is an important part of that.
Absolutely. Which goes back to, why would you marry somebody you can't talk to?
This is basics.
Right. Which you see a lot of people do. Is, how can we connect if we can't even have these difficult conversations? Because marriage is full of a lot of difficult conversations. Not saying you do them every day, but you have your seasons where we got to talk through this. And sometimes you got to keep on talking. And there are times for us, personally, that we've had to stay up a couple hours. We was up talking till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, working through some stuff. Because we didn't want to wake up still, that's that y'all could see that, you wake up, you look at your spouse like, can't stand you, working through that stuff. But again, you're right. It goes back to that safety to be able to talk, which goes back to trust being one of the most important foundational parts of a relationship. Because again, why marry somebody I can't talk to? Now, if it started off good and it turned a different way, whatever, you can still get counsel and get help with that. But those difficult conversations are necessary for a successful relationship. But I think a lot of people, here's one of the biggest problems. They avoid the conversation. So by the time they have it, they blow up.
Yeah.
It's like they're already overboard. And it's like, why didn't you talk to me about this last year? It's been bothering you all this time.
You wait till now?
Right. And then I feel the full brunt of however long you've been holding on to this. And to me, then that's not fair to you or fair to your spouse, because now you're mad at something that you allowed. You allowed. You didn't say anything for all that time, and now you're upset because you wanted the person to know how you felt when you never expressed it.
Or you get upset that you finally decided to say something and then the person reacts to it. See, this is why I don't want to say anything to the first place. So avoid this conversation we're having right now. It's like, then why'd you bring it up?
Right. That's true.
Now you're mad at me for reacting to it? Now I'm trying to catch up and rehearse and remember all these things that happened way back when and figure out what happened when and how. If we had the conversation up front and you were honest about how you were feeling, we could have avoided this. It's like, see, now you reacted. See, this is why I don't talk. And we go to this, the extreme. That's not healthy communication. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to your partner. And a partnership, there has to be collaboration in a place of safety. I don't understand that. And then get married and you already know you have that issue. You got to work on that ahead of time. If you're already married, or like you said, things have happened, work through it. But there has to be trust in order to do that. Otherwise, you'll keep perpetuating that cycle of a miscommunication, avoidance, a lack of vulnerability. That's hard to grow with someone. You think marriage, you're thinking this is long term. In order to create something permanent, there has to be a dynamic working with you and the person where there's more give and take than tug of war.
That's true. And I think that's you said something about the reaction piece. When you're having difficult conversations, expect the person to react. I don't know why we expect the person just thank you for telling me. Right. Now, the person that's on the reacting side, there are times where you have to temper your reaction for the benefit of the moment. Because say you come to me with something very personal, very sensitive, and my reaction is you're automatically like, so you got to learn to smile, just if I know it's going to make you upset, I tell you, embrace myself for you being upset, but I need to be able to react appropriately. Like every man knows, I say this jokingly, but it's true. Every man knows when his wife says babe to him, depending on how she says it, he kind of has a clue what's going on. Babe, I want something. Babe, I messed up. Or, it depends on how she says it. Whatever her key word is, he's like, something's behind this. And he braces himself for like,
or the infamous, we need to talk.
Right. Oh my God. And please, Can I throw this in here for the love of everything holy? If you have to have a difficult conversation with somebody, it is manipulative. I'm gonna say it, and it is wrong to 8 o'clock in the morning send a text message or a phone call. Really, we need to talk, but not right now. We'll talk after. Then the person the whole day is going through this. What's wrong? What happened?
We'll talk about it later.
We'll talk. That is wrong. Wait till you can have the conversation to say we need to talk. It's manipulative and it's wrong. But I think some people do that on purpose with the hopes of, I'm gonna say something. I want this person on their knees, and on edge a little bit the whole day. That's wrong. Wait to have the conversation, then say, we need to talk.
Sorry for all of the time.
That wasn't about you. It was just in general. Just like come on, y'all. Like,
yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sets up like this anxiety and defensiveness already because you're on guard. Like, what happened? What did I do? Did I do something? And it's not fair to the person to do that. Instead, wait till the atmosphere is created for you to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then tell them, like, do you have a minute for us to sit down and talk real quick?
Yeah.
Like, oh, sure. Turn off the TV, put the phone down and like, what's up? Right. But not, like when you get back today.
Right. We need to talk.
Carve out some time. I don't know what your schedule's like. Then it makes it like, what happened? Yeah. Like, I'm not going to talk about it right now. I want to talk about it. We'll talk about it later. That's, that's
manipulative.
Yeah. Yeah. It's childish.
It's childish. All right, we got to hurry, guys. So I think two more things, but this one, I remember before we have a hard conversation, I remember Bishop teaching this years ago. Talk to the person, say something like, look, I need to have a difficult conversation with you. Can I talk to your head and not to your heart? Mm-hmm. Kind of framing like, look, we need to have a sensitive conversation, but hey, I'm not saying you can't be emotional, but let's think through this and have a thoughtful conversation, not just one full of emotion. So you're kind of preparing the person to think. The other thing is, just because one person goes to the moon doesn't mean you got to follow them. They coming out yelling, you did this. You ain't got to go up there with them. Stay right there. Now, that's going to make them, for some people, that makes them even more mad because I'm yelling and you calm. Well, if you want to have the conversation, if we both up here, we're not going to resolve anything. But if we just yelling the whole time, and two more things and I'll be done. So they're in my head and I just want to make sure you jump in.
Yeah.
The other thing is, no low blows during a conversation. If we talking about you burnt the eggs, don't talk about my mama. They be throwing in the jabs in there. You can't throw a hand grenade and get mad at the blow. Well, I was mad when I said it. You being mad when you said it doesn't stop the fact that it was said. And once it's out your mouth, you can't take it back.
Yep.
Last thing, and I'm done. And you go on, say your part and close us out. I know she likes to play the behind role, but is this. The goal of the conversation is resolution. And if you keep that as your focus, you'll stop going around the mulberry bush talking about the problem. We know what the problem is. Let's talk about the solution. Let's go to the resolution. Now, that doesn't mean you don't allow the person to express themselves. Because usually the one that messed up is like, let's hurry up, move on and get to the resolution. The person that has been hurt has to be able to talk about how they feel too. The wounder doesn't have a right to dictate how the wounded responds. All right. I'm not saying the wounded must go act crazy. Then it's like, yo, calm down some. But the goal is resolution. And we're out of time, but go ahead and say something.
No, that was it. I think you summed it up. Just support each other's process. If you messed up or the other person messed up, support the process and let people heal and go through it with them. At the end of the day, it's a partnership. So you can't move on without where are you going? Where are you going without your partner? You moving on where? If they're still struggling, then you need to be able to have productive conversations in order to move forward.
Absolutely.
So I 100% agree.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to get all that while I was on my head because if I didn't get it out, I'd have forgot all three.
Well said.
But do those things, have those difficult conversations, and pray and ask God to help you through those conversations. Pray together at times and work through those things and watch God begin to move in your life. Don't forget to join us for Bible study tomorrow night. So glad you guys joined us again. Don't forget, we're in the middle of our back to school drive. We're collecting backpacks, 5 and below in Cherry Hill. You can purchase them there, drop them off to the church. If you don't feel like shopping, you can donate on our website. Click Catch the Fire. We'll go out there and purchase the backpacks. And we're trying to help at least 1,000 families this year. 23rd of this month for Bible study, bringing the backpacks. That's next week. Wow. Dropping them off here. And we'll be praying over them and believing God together as they go into these homes. On behalf of myself, Pastor Nick,